Asus really did gather a lot of attention when they've announced the very first smartphone with 4GB of RAM, the Asus Zenfone 2. That declaration really did excite a lot of people, which made the device easily one of the most highly anticipated smartphone even months before its release. Well, who wouldn't be thrilled? The device didn't only boasted a pretty seducing spec sheet, but also it was offered at a very affordable price. Something that Asus is known for, offering the best value for every penny. Did the device live up to its hype? That's what we're about to find out in our full review. The Asus Zenfone 2 retains the familiar aesthetics that we became accustomed to with the previous Zenfone devices, from the materials used, the design accents, and some of the buttons and hardware placements. The device is still entirely constructed with plastic, but considering the elegant touches Asus put onto this, it doesn't feel any cheap at all. Plus, the use of plastic on smartphones are known to help the device achieve a lightweight profile. Although, to be a real flagship device, this device have been altered to make it stand out from its brothers and deserve the precious flagship title. To start, we have a large 5.5-inch IPS display at front, covered and safely protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. We also have the earpiece, a 5-megapixel front-facing camera, the Asus logo, an LED notification indicator, and the capacitive buttons. The familiar design touch that we see on almost all Zenfone devices also makes an appearance here. But despite having a large 5.5-inch display, Asus claims that the device is still compact, claiming that it is something comparable to a 5-inch device. This was said to be possible because of its thin bezels and a screen-to-body ratio of only 72%. I did compare it to a 5-inch device, the O Plus 360 HD, and both of the devices didn't have the same dimensions. But I must say, the difference in size is really not far away from each other. But if you feel that the device is just too large for you, and you want to reach everything on the display single-handedly, there's a one-hand option that's embedded on the device that shrinks the screen virtually. It can be toggled either from the drop-down menu or by double-tapping the home button. Both the left and the right side of the device is clean, with no visible buttons or any slots. It is because Asus claims that removing the buttons on the borders made the device achieve its thinnest edge of only 3.9mm. Mind you though, the unbelievable ultra-thin figure is only on the device's edge and not the overall thickness of the Zenfone 2. At the top we have the oddly placed home and power button. As per my time with the device, this button is a bit of a pain to reach as the device is a bit large and feels enormous in my hands. But nevertheless, the button is very tactile, which makes it easy to press when you successfully reached it. Asus also planted some gestures on the device's UI to replace some of the button's actions. Turning on or off the device is now simple as double tapping the display. We also have the noise cancelling microphone and the headphone jack at the top. At the bottom, we only have the second built-in microphone and the micro USB port. The back of the Zenfone 2 houses the 13-megapixel primary camera, which is partnered with a dual LED flash. We also have the volume controls, Asus and Intel logos, and the speaker grill. This particular portion of the device may look very identical to LG's last year flagship with the button placement and the fake brushed metal look. Although I wish that Asus also placed the lock and power switch parallel to the volume controls to make it easier and more ergonomic to reach. It is also nice to see that Asus retained the removable back panel feature, a feature that might be starting its extinction in flagship devices. Popping out the back cover gives you access to the micro SD card slot and the two SIM card slots. We also get a glimpse of the sealed-in 3000 mAh battery. It is quite odd that Asus didn't let the users gain access to the battery, which is actually one of the primary reasons why users are akin to smartphones with removable back covers. The removable back cover feature is not only for those users who want to swap their drained batteries to a full charged one, but it also helps to easily replace the original battery when it starts to get faulty, a scenario that is inevitable to these types of batteries over time. Under the hood, we also see the actual speakers. The back panel made the actual speaker drivers look large, but taking an actual look inside, it isn't that sizable. The speaker's size also speaks for its performance. There's just not enough volume on this one, and I have also noticed a lackluster volume when I plugged in a pair of headphones. The volume may be a problem, but the output it can produce is incredibly well balanced and crisp. The low frequencies are really present without overpowering the highs. The device also has some pretty acceptable weight on it, and as I have said earlier, the device isn't really that thin. The back of the device has this curvy look which made the edges thin, but not up to its median. Not only that it gives room for the device's hardware, but it also increases ergonomics when using the Zenfone 2. Your hands can safely and comfortably embrace the device without the fear of dropping it accidentally. Although it is quite irritating to interact with the device when it's lying flat on a table, as it really moves like a seesaw. But still, for me at least, it is not a deal breaker. The Zenfone 2 variant we have here has the 5.5-inch IPS display with 1080 by 1920 resolution and has 401 pixels per inch. Display quality is just impressive on this one. Although, before we could judge the real quality of it, we should first consider checking the display app called Splendid, which an app comes pre-installed with the device. The default setting on this one is set on balance. But if you want some extra kick on colors, the vivid setting is the way to go. That having said, with the display setting set on balance, the colors it projects is still crispy and sharp. Text look good on this one with no visible individual pixels, which is perfect for readers out there. Movies, games, and any other media also look very pleasing on this one. The large and sharp display made the games feel more immersive with enough space for on-screen controls. Viewing angles and outdoor visibility are also imposing. You can easily watch videos with group of friends or use the device under direct sunlight, hassle-free. We're not even halfway through, but we're already on to probably the pinnacle of this review. Like what I've said earlier, Asus created a big buzz when they announced the very first smartphone with 4GB of RAM, which is of course the Zenfone 2. While the device comes in different variants, with different RAM capacity to make sure everyone from different markets can get a chance to get this device, the one I have here is the finest of them all. That having said, our review unit has the Intel Atom Z3580 CPU, a 64-bit quad-core processor with Power VRO G6420 GPU, and of course, 4GB of RAM. With all those blazing numbers, you can initially have an idea what type of a monster we are dealing here. As what I've said in my previous reviews before, one of the primary characteristics of a CPU with 64-bit architecture is its ability to handle larger RAMs, like of course a 4GB one. Also, Android Lollipop works best with 64-bit devices. The device thus clearly delivers superb performance. Heavy lifting is not a problem from playing intensive and power-hungry games and using demanding applications. There's just no visible lags or stutters on this one. Multitasking is also seamless, something that isn't surprising for a device with such large RAM capacity. You can jump from different applications effortlessly without causing the applications to restart. For a perspective, imagine you are watching a YouTube video, then at the middle of the clip, you decided to check Facebook or Instagram. Going back to YouTube from different applications won't cause the video to reload. The Asus Zenfone 2 also comes with different models, a 16GB one, 32GB, and the 64GB variant. The device is hoarding 6.47GB from those storage to use it as system reserve. As for our review unit, This 32GB model leaves us with more or less 26GB of usable storage, an amount that for me is pretty enough to store a lot of games, pictures and videos, and any other media. But in case the internal storage still won't suffice your needs, there's a micro SD card slot available for memory expansion of up to 64GB. Like what I've said earlier, it's just fitting to have Android 5.0 Lollipop on a 64-bit device. Thus, what we have here is that same exact software with the company's very own custom skin, of course. Asus Zen UI is here, complete with its entourage of pre-installed applications, custom skins, and other UI artifacts. Whether the Zenfone's UI looks appealing or not will really depend on the user's preference. But for me, it really did cater my needs. Although I seldom use or even did not completely use some of the applications that comes with it. Unluckily, these bloatwares cannot be uninstalled, so they just stay in there, eating a parcel of your precious internal storage. Probably a feature that I actually enjoyed on this one is the ability to change themes. A throwback feature that's now starting to go mainstream again. Having some personalization option on a device gives some users a feeling that they really do own that device. Shortcut touch gestures are also present on this one. Drawing some alphabets on the display while it is turned off instantly opens an application, which can be configured on the settings menu. The Zenfone 2 utilizes a 13MP primary camera, which comes with a dual-tone flash. Asus took a different road on the camera sensor by using one from Toshiba instead of the more popular and widely used sensor from Sony. But nevertheless, the device can really produce some impressive and stunning shots. Colors looked accurate and very sharp, cropped pictures are still pretty usable, and zooming in into faraway objects is viable and the details are still pretty visible. Although you have to make sure that you set the exposure properly as it sometimes overblows some areas and the contrast will get really ugly. And also for some next level mobile photographers out there, the camera application also gives you manual control on the camera's settings. You have full access on the camera's ISO, white balance, shutter speed, and focus. The app is also packed with lots of presets and scene selections. The dual LED flash really did encourage me to use the flash more often. This thing is throwing two shades of light, a white one, and another one that matches a human skin tone. This actually helps to capture all the right colors when taking a photo in low light and prevent overblown photos. We do also have a 5MP front-facing camera which has an aperture of f2.0. The large aperture became really handy when taking selfies at low light scenarios, and the wide-angle lens is perfect for group shots. Asus said via their website that this version of the Zenfone 2 can reach 60% of charge in no more than 39 minutes with the help of its fast charging capability. This claim from Asus is just a little bit ambitious. The battery charge didn't reach from 0 to 60 in less than 39 minutes. Thus, it took almost 42 to 45 minutes. But nevertheless, those figures isn't really far away from each other, so you might not really notice it. For a battery with a 3000 mAh capacity, the charging duration is something to brag about. The device can be fully recharged in less than 2 hours, in contrast to other devices with the same battery capacity, but takes a good 2 to almost 3 hours before the battery status reach 100%. The device did achieve the 4-hour mark in screen on time, and a good 10 to 12 hours with moderate use like casual web browsing via the 4G network. This device really lived up to its promise. The promise to bring something extravagant on the table without the exchange of a hefty amount of cash. And just like its other brothers, The Asus Zenfone 2 is clearly, if not the best, one of the most competent device you can get on this price range. The device's enormous and beautiful display will really appeal consumers who are on the look for a media-focused device. Something that is flawless for watching videos, gaming, and many more mediums of entertainment. Also, a large display with powerful processor and a fast network connection would also appeal productivity junkies and workaholics who loves to juggle between apps and any other methods of doing work on their active and busy lifestyle. Fast charging capability is also there to serve people who are always on the go. The Zenfone 2's capable camera can also please aspiring photographers or even just a casual snapper. Despite the muscle inside, the Zenfone 2 is also an eye-catcher. It's like a beauty in a beast. Although there are some drawbacks that must be cited. Some buttons are maybe oddly placed and hard to reach. Lackluster audio volume and a non-removable battery can cause some people to take a step backward and think twice about giving this device a shot. But considering all the pleasing characteristics that this device can offer, it's really hard to resist. This has been NoypiGeeks' full review of the Asus Zenfone 2. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up button and share this video if you liked it. And also subscribe if you still haven't. Thank you for watching.